Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany, T for short. And right about now, that pasta is sitting heavy, and y'all are sitting there like you're fighting to stay awake. But let me tell you, the best is yet to come. Because I'm here to see Hector G, right? I appreciate everyone that spoke tonight, but I need you to interact with me for a little bit. If you're grateful to be here right now because you should be in prison, I'm going to need you to stand up. If you're grateful to be here right now because you're sober and you're not somewhere out on the street with a needle in your arm, I need you to stand up, okay? If you're grateful because you're here and you're sober and you're not in the bar right now, I need you to stand up because that's me. That's me, right? I'm not used to being on the stage by myself, so it's a little bit different right now. But if you're here and you have any amount of time without a substance in your body, besides for caffeine, I need you to stand up. I need you to stand up. If you're here and you're questioning if you should even be here, but something you already heard tonight confirmed that you're in the right place, I need you to stand up. We need to exercise a little bit. That pasta's sitting heavy right now. If you're here and you're unsure if you could do this thing, I need you to stand up. And while we're standing, what we're going to do is we're going to agree to pray for one another and those that are standing, right? God, we thank you for all that you've done, Lord. I ask that you would have your way, God, in me, Lord. That you would remove T, remove Tiffany, remove the ideas and the things that I want to say, God, and that you would speak through me, God. I thank you for being here already tonight, God. I thank you for every speaker, God. For the vulnerability and the honesty, God. I ask that you would have your way. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. You can sit down. I know that pasta's sitting heavy. So I don't want to spend too much time, and you're going to have to tell me, okay? You're going to have to wave so I can see you when it's time for me to shut up. But I don't want to spend too much time on the basic story of who I am and how I got to be who I am, because I believe there's something very particular that the Lord wants me to share tonight, because I've been fasting all week and praying about this all week, right? And having grown up in South Jersey and a very traditional African-American family that didn't talk about much outside of the norm, we didn't talk about addiction, we didn't talk about the things we didn't understand. And it wasn't until, I want to say 16, when I realized how good alcohol was. I heard someone say it earlier. It was like I found God, so to speak, with that first drink. And unfortunately, I was around older cousins who taught me all the things I didn't need to know, right? So the unfortunate part about that is I learned a lot of things and was exposed to a lot of things that I really didn't need to be exposed to. And at 16, I had my first drunk, my 16th birthday in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'll never forget it. They gave me a bottle of St. Ides, the worst thing you could have possibly drunk, and told me happy birthday. And it wasn't until, and this is in hindsight, it wasn't until years later that I realized that that first bottle of St. Ides, which happened to come with a free Method Man poster, yeah, with the grill. The fangs, he had the fangs. Led to my first blackout drunk. And it also led to my first, how can I say this and keep it G-rated? My first experience with the dark side that leads to risky behavior. The dark side that led to habitual risky sexual behavior. And with that relationship and with that interaction, alcohol and this risky behavior went hand in hand in my life for years. So I had, this dysfunctional family that I didn't realize was dysfunctional until I was sharing my story in a church years later. Because I came to Christ, he came to me, I answered the call, and I thought I was okay, right? But I was really a dry drunk. I didn't know it, didn't realize it. and got married, had kids, and I was in a church sharing my story, and this guy walked up to me, this older guy, and he said, I need you to meet me here at 7 o'clock tonight. And I said, oh, okay. His wife said, just do it, honey, just do it. And it was an AA meeting. And you heard other people talk tonight about that ugly cry. I started snotting and crying and during the meeting because I realized, see, I always knew something was wrong, right? But I realized that I was an alcoholic and that I grew up in a family of alcoholics and that my uncle getting drunk and knocking the Christmas tree over and my grandmother getting mad and my mom trying to fight my uncle was not normal. These were the things that caused trauma later in life that I thought was normal, right? So I realized it's not normal, and I go to this AA meeting, and I get involved in it, and I get involved in church, and I get involved in all these things. At one point, my husband and I were youth leaders, and we were like deep in the church, like deep. And then the perfect storm happened, right? So I'm going to AA, and I'm going to church, and I have, we're young parents, and we have this American dream life, right? And then we end up facing divorce. And within months, I lose my grandmother, who was an anchor in my life. And then within months, I sell my home, and I move here to Sussex County. And the rooms of AA and NA and Celebrate Recovery welcome me with open arms. But guess what? I thought I was better than y'all. And this is the point that I need to bring home tonight. I thought I was better than you because, see, I had never gone to prison. I'd never gone to treatment, never had to use Suboxone, methadone, never even tried a pill. I thought I was better than you because even though my life was broken, I still managed to have God's favor enough to get a college degree. I still managed to have God's favor enough to have bosses that pushed me to get certified as an addictions counselor. I still managed to have God's favor enough for people to choose my husband and I to be in different ministries. As a dry drunk, I thought I was better than you. I thought, okay, yeah, I didn't go through that, but all right, we're here together, right? I have my seat, you have yours. I'll listen to your story, but I'm not going to share mine too much, because it wasn't deep enough. I hadn't gotten any DUIs. I didn't lose my family. What else? I wasn't in and out of prison. Never overdosed. I don't like pills. I thought my story wasn't deep enough. So I sat and I served, and I did all the things I thought that I was supposed to do to be okay. And then as a single woman, and I have to tell you, I prepared my husband for this part, so he knows what I'm about to say. As a single woman, I made this mistake, and I'll tell you, and shout out to my family that's in here tonight in Sober Gang. Shout out to Sober Gang. I stay on them about relationships because for me, as a single woman, having been married 14 years, how can I put this? I went buck wild. And I enjoyed every minute of it, but what it did was it brought me back to that connection of the toxic relationship, the risky behavior, all the dark stuff. And guess where that led me? That led me into a marriage to a man that was an alcoholic and abusive. I didn't know it when I married him, but I wasn't exactly looking with the holy eyes, if you know what I mean. I wasn't looking with the right eyes, right? And I know people in the rooms here in Sussex County that tried to stop me. And I was like, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. I'm good. I took my first drink at our wedding. And that led to what I called a 2-drink maximum. I would never drink more than 2 drinks. And it wasn't often, 2-3 times a year. But mind you, this was after being sober, substance-free for 14 years. This was after working steps in AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, Addictions Victorious, Recovery Unanimous or something. All of them. This was after having a sponsor and sponsoring in all of them. This was after earning a certified addiction counseling certificate. This was after sharing my story on stages like this. And that 2-drink minimum turned into me realizing, or 2-drink maximum, I'm sorry, I would never, what word am I looking for? Help me out, Crystal. Maximum. I would never drink more than 2 drinks, right? Because I knew that somewhere inside, I still had these reservations. How could I be this way? How could I, and sometimes, you know how you have that first glass of wine, I ain't trying to trigger nobody, and you get real comfortable, real warm, real woozy, and I'm like, see, I'm okay. And then I wake up one day, and I'm running for my life. And I remember thinking, God, I know I don't deserve for you to rescue me. But if you love me enough, if you rescue me, I promise I will serve you for the rest of my life. And that turned into a long road back to where I thought I was supposed to be, but I never really was to begin with. Because see, and this is what I want you to remember if you don't remember anything else, I still had reservations. I still have reservations, and I was arrogant, and I thought I was better than you. And life humbled me to the extent that I was living in my car for 2 weeks. I sent my kids to my mom, and I didn't want her to know how bad it was. I was living in my car for 2 weeks, waiting for God to move, to give me somewhere to live. And I could have gone home. I got 3 or 4 friends in this room right here I could have called and said, hey, can I sleep on your sofa? But I didn't do it because I was arrogant. And I still had reservations because I thought I still got this. Listen, I still got it. And I kept saying, but you never got drunk, but you didn't black out, right? You never got drunk, you didn't black out. But the reality was the same illness that caused all that was still very much alive. And it wasn't until life humbled me that I realized that it was really about service. And that the place where I missed it was I picked the program apart and took the pieces that fit best for me. For instance, there may be some of you in here to think, sponsorship, I can do sponsorship. Meetings, I can do meetings. I love meetings and sponsorship, but I'm not going to church. Or I could go to church. I love church. I could work the steps, but I'm not doing it with a sponsor. Or I can do the sponsorship. I can do the meetings. I can go to church, but I'm not serving. I'm not doing that. I'm not showing up to clean up the tables. I'm not showing up to set out the food. I'm not showing up to set up chairs. Or maybe you love to serve, but I don't know about step work. I don't trust people. I can't do sponsorship. I've been hurt too much. And what I realized is that you can't pick it apart. It's all important. Sponsorship is important. The steps are important. God is important. He inspired this program. The Bible is important. Support is important. A home group is important. Sponsorship is important. Service is important. Being here nights like tonight is important. Being vulnerable and sharing your story is important. You cannot pick apart the part that works well for you and say you're going to be okay, because I'm your proof that it doesn't work. You don't have to try it yourself. And today, I am grateful to have humility. I would rather serve you than allow you to serve me. I would rather be there for you than require something of you to support my needs. And I know that's God. And it wasn't until I let go of the fact that the reservations, I cannot drink safely. And even if it was just those 2 drinks, Those 2 drinks led me to a whole world of toxic everything, just darkness, just the worst stuff. And I was still trying to convince myself that I had it all under control. And what it boiled down to, and if you don't remember anything else about my story, is that I didn't have it. And it wasn't until I surrendered it and allowed God to have his way with me that I got it. And I got it now. But it took years. I say August 12th, 1996 is my spiritual awakening date. That was the last time I had a blackout drunk. And it was actually my 21st birthday. But from 16 to 21, I did everything I was big and bad enough to do. If you heard it about me, honey, guess what? It's true. It's true. You don't have to wonder. It's true, and it was terrible stuff. But my sobriety date, where I hadn't had any more 1 glass, 2 glass, is September 26, 2021. So it'll be 3 years. But there's one thing I want to leave you with, and I think I added this to my bio when Zach asked for it. That's not just alcohol. That's also nicotine. But let me tell you why I'm leaving you with this, and people start rolling their eyes and sucking their teeth at me when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because that's why God sent me here. If you can kick heroin, if you can kick crack, if you could walk away from cocaine and never use it again, if you could stop selling drugs and not long for that money again, if you could stop drinking, if you could stop tricking, if you could stop doing all those things, you can stop smoking. And the reality of it is, and it was actually been, I stopped smoking in 2020, right before the pandemic. And I was so grateful I did because I was a stressed work smoker. I didn't smoke at home around my kids, and the pandemic caused me to work at home. So I decided either I'm going to sneak outside a few times a day and risk getting caught, or I'm just going to stop. And it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But let me tell you why I did it. In the past 3 years, I lost not only my mom, but my dad. But my dad in particular would take his oxygen off and light up a cigarette. And I watched him hunch over, talking to me. And he died from COPD, lung failure. And at that time, I was vaping, trying to stop. And I decided, I don't want to go that way. I'm breaking this curse. I don't want to go that way. So if you could get rid of that, you could stop smoking. You could stop smoking. There's nothing special about me that says that I can and you can't. You have to surrender it. Thank you for letting me share.